Thank you for joining us. Hello. And I hope everybody is getting online. We apologize for the lateness. Well, actually, no, we don't. We actually have a service before service sometimes. So, we thank you for, just bearing with us and being patient. So we are online, we are live. So if you're seeing me, we are live at this moment. And I cannot guarantee throughout the duration of this class that we'll still be live because this morning, probably about 6:30, we had the bomb coming into Jerusalem and they were heavily going into here. And so we don't know if we'll still have connection or we will still be live, but we'll try to be live as much as possible. So if the bombs are going off, either we're on the patio or you'll be hearing it. We'll have everything live. So it'll kind of be like our news station. So that's between you and me. Um, we thank you for joining us. Please click the like, subscribe, and the notification bell and share with your friends. I want to say that I have finally, hallelujah, completed my book, completed the English audio, and I'm trying to complete. I probably would have completed the Spanish, but due to the lack of sleep and not being coherent, I had plenty of mistakes. So I was like, oh, I better not put that out. So anyhow, I was looking at the news and I shared this with my husband the other day. I was looking at the news and it was amazing how I think it was Thailand, um, they have now came out with the cyborg police. So it's actually a robot that will go through crowds and events and stuff that will scan your face and it's kind of like what's that movie? Oh gosh. It starts with the M, but I forgot. But anyhow, it tells you it's reading your emotions to whether you're gonna figure out whether you're gonna cause danger to someone. Now, how are you gonna read a robot's gonna read the person's emotions, I guess through heat, body heat or something. But I thought that was interesting. But it's supposed to read your face and to see if you're a terrorist and all that. So I thought, wow, we're at the stage now. I thought at this point I'd probably be dead, so I wouldn't be at the stage, into this reality. But I thank everybody for coming on. And if you are online as we speak, please put a thumbs up and let us know where you're watching us from. And we will continue on. So I'm kind of looking out the window, trying to kind of guesstimating if there's going to be more rockets or anything, because have been active probably the last 3 or 4 days. So since this memorial over here in Jerusalem has ended, they have definitely been not hesitating to continue on. So I'm just kind of like buying space and making sure everything's okay before we click on over to our class. And we have a lot of information. Thank you for watching in Mexico. Glad to see you. And North Carolina, Texas, Cyprus, uh, Canada. I just appreciate everyone who's been watching. We also have people watching from Jerusalem. So if you're not watching on YouTube, we also located us on Facebook under Cheryl Remington. And we're glad you're here and we're glad you're watching and we will continue on. So let's see who our hosts want to go first. And ready or not, here you go.
Well, I am glad to see Jalisco Germ there, as well as Sylvia and Mike and all of our normal listeners. It's good to have people come back on. It really supports the channel. And when we talk about the notification bell and thumbs up and this kind of stuff, that drives the algorithm up. So that makes it more available on YouTube specifically than even on Facebook. We have a very powerful class today, and I think that you're going to be totally shocked and amazed about what God has revealed. But before we came live, I was playing a song in our first service, and I told him I wanted to play this again because to me, it has a powerful message. So I hope if it's not too blaring out, Julian, if it is, be sure and let me know from your little screen that I see at the bottom to turn the volume down. Okay, because I don't know how it's going to come out. But this is a powerful song. He will be faithful to the end. That was quite a message to me this week as I shared with the first service. when things were falling apart and things were going crazy, that song came to me and I remembered, He will be faithful. He did not bring me to Jerusalem to not fulfill what His request was. Sometimes the enemy attracts our mind and makes us restless and makes us panic, and we don't know what to do. But we've got to put in the forefront of our mind that God is always faithful. We're not always very dependable, but God is always faithful. This week, as I was doing my studies, I'm going to bring some things to you guys that I want you to really think about. Do you realize that today in Jerusalem, right as we speak, there is human sacrifice happening? Did you know that, Julian? That there is human sacrifice happening right now in Jerusalem. Now, I want to watch your expression, so keep him on the line just a minute. And I asked the Lord, why are you saying that? And He said, it's not only happening in Jerusalem, it is happening global. He said, when they send the young people on the battlefield, they are offering a sacrifice for their wealth and their gain. It's not for the good of those who are in need. It's not a defense of the family. It's a destruction of a society. So when God spoke this to me this week, when He said they are offering sacrifices by human globally through the military, I thought, you don't see one of those leaders, Julian, going up there to put on armor and fight on the war front. Is that? No, not even their kids. My grandson is in the military. He joined the military of his own accord. I'm not downing that. He feels he's doing the best that he can to protect our country and protect us. But the point is, these wicked, vile people who are using every excuse in the book to kill our young men and women are only honoring hell. Now, I want to bring something else to your attention, Julian. This really got to me. The question constantly asked here in Israel, who does the land belong to? Is it the Palestinians? Is it the Israelis? Who does it belong to? The land belongs to God. And when we look at ancestry, we're not positive that the teachings are accurate. But let's suppose that they were. And supposedly Abraham, who is the father of the monotheistic religions, the Christian, the Muslim, and the Jew, he was supposed to be the pivotal head, correct? Now, let me give you this. So if you ask me, who does this country belong to physically other than God? I would say the offspring of Abraham. Who are the offspring of Abraham? Ishmael and Isaac. The Islamic and the Jew are both half brothers. Now, in the sense of reality, think about this. I have known of people who have a half sibling. Some of my dear team have half siblings. And America and Joy are half siblings. But Joy doesn't love America any different because she has a different father. She loves Joy the same amount. So half siblings don't know the hatred and hostility unless it's inbred by somebody. Think about this. They don't know it. When we look at the country of Israel, the British people under the Balfour Declaration said, we're going to give the Jews the Palestinian land. What right did Britain have to give the Jews Palestinian land and never consider the Palestinians? They created this rift between these countries many years ago, and there's extreme prejudice in this country. I know that. I've seen it. Stacy's seen it. You can't, by natural effect, tell who is Palestinian and who is not. Now, here's the thing about that. They all look the same. As a matter of fact, because of my skin color and the structures of my face, I look just as Jewish as the next person on the street. With the men, obviously there are different shades, just like there's different shades of white Anglos and Caucasians, whatever. There's different shades of other people. And I cannot tell you who is Palestinian and who is Jewish unless I look by how they are dressed. The dress that's dictated to them by upper leadership. Otherwise, when we're out on that street, we are constantly kind and speak to everybody who we possibly can. Now, this hostility was put in by, hang on to your horses, you're not going to like the answer to this one, the United Nations. The United Nations drew up the document after the Balfour and started dictating to a country. They had no right to dictate how they should live. And this has been an ongoing, constant thing for hundreds of years. So this whole idea that who owns the land, you mean to tell me you're sending my grandson and your daughter out on the battlefield for your gain of land and property? Well, in America, we never own our land. We always have to pay taxes. We always have to give to an association. Even though the mortgage would get paid off, we still never own our home outright. Now, there are countries that do. Mexico is one of them that you can, but not in the United States. We'll keep paying and paying and paying. Stacy, you brought up something about what you had seen. In the movie 1984, and unfortunately it's 10 hours long if you listen to it on YouTube. I started getting a few minutes, like, I can't do that. It has the thought police. This AI, they have it already set in a system in China. You are given credit by what they pick up through their sensors. So if they want to block you financially, they will. All they have to do is send a signal, and you can't get any money out and you can't live unless your attitude and acceptance is universally as their approval. They became the gods. Okay. It's not global. It's not global. It is, however, being implemented. And this is how they're determining your behavior. What is so scary about that is I have a face that if something's crazy, it is a tell sign. They can know that, what? I just didn't agree with that. And they're going to constantly put me in timeout. I guess we could call that our adult timeout, is if our attitude does not fit their agenda. So these thought police are there. And that's why they use the cell phones having cameras on both sides to see out and to see in. That is the commonplace. We don't realize that those devices will track every move everywhere, and etc. It's terrifying. In one sense, it's a positive, because if somebody gets lost, you can find them. But it's only the FBI that can turn on all the cameras in the vicinity to find out where you were, what your last actions was, and could nail you to a crime. It's no privacy. Now, of course, I don't believe anybody should be committing a crime, but they're going to say that what I teach is a crime to their mentality, because I'm pointing out to you what God is saying to me about things. So when he spoke to me that this land belongs to him, not to them, and they have no right to send the young people, older, whatever age bracket, to a military front line for their financial wealth and gain. This is an absolute. It's not even comprehensive. But like you said, they won't send their own children. We've got to be guarded about the way that we approach people, because you never know who the spy in the camp is going to be, who you can really trust with your personal thoughts and your feelings. You can't trust the majority of the world. You know, JD and I have an amazing, amazing relationship. We can talk for hours. And I think sometimes he's afraid to answer my phone because it's like, well, Mom, I don't have an hour to talk right now. But I understand that. But the point I'm getting at is that we can communicate without fear or reservation. Our thoughts, our frustrations, everything that we have going on in our head. And we know without a doubt that when the conversation's over, we're still going to love each other. We don't disagree very often, but when we disagree, it's a real goodie. It's a mind boggler. But the point is, we have got to understand that what we do outside these doors is very critical. When we came through the national celebration, the first this month, for the celebration for the country, we had a time that nobody was outside. And then all of a sudden, Thursday night comes, and this is what really got to me. Thursday night comes, and about 9:30 in the evening, all of a sudden we started hearing this techno sound. And if you don't know what techno sounds, it's no words, it's just beats and thumping and vibes. And this went on till after 3:00 that next morning. And we kept looking outside, and there were thousands, I'm talking about thousands of young people walking up and down the street. Some were in an area dancing and doing this. They were drinking, they were getting high. And you know, the majority of them were on drugs, because there's no way you could keep that momentum going for even 30 minutes, much less hours and hours. This vibrated so bad that all of the apartments around us, I looked out and there was lights on. Nobody was getting any sleep. And the inconsiderate behavior was just an atrocity. But let me make noise and worship God on Sabbath, and I will be rebuked, and the police will come in. But let them honor demons, and there'll be nobody to silence them. Nobody. So Stacy and I did not sleep until yesterday morning, and we were hitting and missing as we could survive. But the point I'm getting at, the inconsiderate of the people around was absolutely insane. And then to think that they were so proud of honoring hell, that they were drinking and they were dancing and they were partying, and this is supposed to be God's country. I don't know what God they serve, but it's not the God that I serve. I was sharing with the first class a statement when my son, Chris, came in 2019 to Jerusalem. He came with one purpose and one goal, and that was that he wanted to see his family restored. He wanted to see them serving God. And he came to Jerusalem desperate to somehow connect his family and him to God. We did not know then what we do know now. There was no way it was going to happen. You see, the evil that is in the world, not just here in Jerusalem or in Israel or any of the other countries, is controlling powers of destruction to prohibit God's spirit from being made known. I am more determined today than ever before that I will fulfill what God has done and asked me to do. I have cleared everything out today. I found it quite shocking. I took a 6-hour nap in 2 different segments, which I never do. I thought, well, maybe my body's getting prepared for the big battle. But I will fulfill what God has asked me to do, which was to bring his spirit to this country so the world would know him. I will fulfill that destiny with everything in me, regardless. I have that fight. I'm going to fight every spirit I can fight to fulfill what God has asked. You see, our words and our actions are so, at times, so contrary. Our actions don't really depict what our words say, and vice versa. My actions will always say what kind of person I am, but my words will not always indicate the true meaning of my heart. I was taught many years ago And this is where Julie and I are going to talk about words. Words have the power to heal and destroy. We are so much gods within ourselves that we think everybody should praise us and tell us how great and wonderful that we are and to adore us. That's the kind of God attitude that this world has. We want to be praised and edified. I don't want that. I want to glorify the creator of the universe. He is the only one that is worthy to be glorified and praised, only one. When we feel like we can't go out another day without telling somebody how beautiful they are, how great they are, how wonderful they are, we are feeding the spirit of the enemy. Life is not always full of the sweet roses. Believe it or not, there's times those roses dry up and fall off the stem. We have a tendency to depend so much on words and less on action. I look at a person's actions a lot more than I do their words because their words mean nothing to me. Julian, when I asked you to talk about words, what were some of the things that came to you when I told you this is what we were going to discuss?
The first thing was what you just said, that words can build somebody or destroy somebody. Because a lot of times that we don't understand is that the way you say the word, you could tell somebody, I love you. Just say it like, doesn't mean anything, but it just said the word. But if you say it in a way that it has heartfelt, that, I love you, it takes a different meaning altogether. So words, those are one of the most important things that, I was watching the video the other day and they were talking about that, the words. He said, that here's how lawyers get you on the court of law, how they persuade the jury. He said, just think about this, just changing one word. He said, the case about a car crash, a car wreck. Now the lawyer will say, okay, think about this. Or they would ask the witnesses, how fast was the car going when it crashed into the other car? Okay. And then you could change the word on that, say, ask the question again. How fast was the car going when it bumped the other car? And you see right there, when the people hear crash, automatically they assume the car was going at a high rate of speed. But when they hear the word bump, they assume that the car was going at a slow rate speed because he bumped the other car. So when you say crash, that's how they get the jury to side in with them, because they're automatically in your mind, it's going to think, whoa, they must have been going at a high rate of speed to crash into the other car. See what I'm saying? It's just a play of words. So words are very powerful. It just depends on how you use the word.
Very much so. The inflection, the emphasis is where the problem comes in at. I can say, I really don't appreciate that. Or say, you know what? You're really stupid. You did that really bad. That was really screwed up. What are you doing? Okay. Well, immediately there's going to be two receptions. Sometimes we do talk in that level. Depends on what the issue is. But the point he's saying is that when you say, I love you, when I tell JD I love him, I say, son, I love you with all of my heart. You are my everything. And he'll say always, Mom, I love you to the highest number in the world. And the numbers go on forever and ever. And I always respond, but I had a 9-month start. And we give this to each other back and forth constantly. So we can almost tell who's on line and who's really not. The point is, we're quick to say that. And if he's done something I don't agree with, I say, son, I don't appreciate that. Wait a minute, back it up. I want my delivery to be impactful by how I say it. Now, there are some things that maybe my mood is not like it should be. Maybe I've had a bad day. I need to identify that I don't need to carry on a conversation when I have an attitude, because that attitude is going to come through and it's going to reflect all of that. A lot of times, here's what happens. We let things go on in our mind over and over and over and over. When I was younger, we had LPs. That tells you how old I am. And when we had a record that was scratched, we get to a certain point and go, shoot, and go shoot back. You get to that same point, shoot back. Well, finally, after some effort, I realized if I put a little pressure on that needle at that location, it would play the song on through. And I wouldn't have that problem again. So I could have records really scratched up. But if I applied a little pressure, it fixed everything. Sometimes we have to have a little pressure for us to be able to get through it. Whenever I was going through several things this week, the pressure was overwhelming. I didn't feel like I was going to get through it. But when I heard that song, He Will Be Faithful, that was the little bit of pressure I needed to sail right on through the problem. Sometimes a song or a statement that may be eliminating to you will be what gets you through it. And I agree with our chats over here. The selfies are the greatest narcissistic behavior that there is. An individual who's constantly taking pictures of themselves is very self-centered. I can understand when you take pictures of the moment or an occasion. I got that. But if I've got to always be facing and sucking my lips in and doing all this kind of stuff and posing for the picture, I'm saying I'm narcissistic. It's all about me. And it's me that you should be catered to. You need to look at the actions. And if people have gotten in that habit, you need to talk to somebody who's by you and say, you know what, this doesn't come across very positive, that you're always focused on you. Selfie, selfie, selfie. You know what? If people saw you for who you were, you'd have an ugly mask on and not this pucker your lips in and give a little nod of the head and making sure that you're doing it yourself. I don't do selfies. I don't even like doing video. And I know that we shoot video for class. I understand that. But you won't see me coming and doing this as a selfie of myself. I just won't do it. I might show the location of what we're doing, but I'm not going to make myself the focus of everyone's attention. They have done this by saying, oh, I get so many likes and so many views. Those people don't even like you. They don't even know you. And you're living for their thumbs up and their comments. You're living for that. Don't do it. Live as unto God, and all the thumbs up you need is His approval. You don't need all the other thumbs up of the rest of the world. You don't need society to like what you do. This past week, T.D. Jakes stepped down from his pulpit. I've known for over 30-something years that he was a wicked man. I've known that. I've talked to people who were in his staff. They've been very vile and wicked for a long, long time. But yet, he was reaching a particular demographic area. So he was proceeding on. But you see, why did he decide to retire right now? Because Diddy's trial is coming up this month. And he knows he's going to be drug in to the fact that he was involved with horrific behavior when it comes to sex and partying and the drug life. He's going to be brought into that. So he's going to retire with dignity. Seriously? That's not why he's retiring. He has never been a man of God. If you ever look at him, he's always been a little on the strange side. I told people that left my church to go to his because he was a big minister in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they were praising how wonderful and great he was. Said, you better watch that. One day it's going to be exposed that not only is he gay, but he's into devious behavior. They went on and did it anyway. Now they're without a pastor. It's a shame that we built our life on personality. We didn't build our life on what God wanted for our life. It's a shame that there are so many people who have never done the research about what's going on in scriptures and where it came from. And unfortunately, I swallowed it, and so have you. But the words are never going to be what the actions are. T.D. Fakes could stand up there and say anything he wanted to, and they would believe it. But his actions and what he got involved in with P. Diddy shows his character, his true character. So here's my point. There are many people out here in different places of leadership that are being elevated for the wrong reason. That doesn't mean that they're true of heart, they're true of character, and they're true to God, most importantly. Do not judge a person by what they say, but judge what they do. I will always watch the actions before I ever listen to the words. This is a good point in time for you. There are some people who will never change. This is who they are, and it doesn't matter what you say to them, they will never change because they don't see a need to. They don't need to see a need for correction. They don't see a need to draw closer to God. A Christian has a set of values that is supposed to be lived by. I've watched those values change over 55 years. And in this 55 years, I've seen it go for absolutely no sports, no movies, no drinking, no dancing. I saw that into where, the pastor's talking about the sports from the pulpit. They're drinking socially, and wine, a little stomach for the stomach's sake. Everything got twisted because the values never stayed the same. The Christian principles that were originally based on good conduct and behavior are different than what they have become. So in gradualism, everything changed because you see, they didn't have the power of God, so they had to constantly compromise in order to gain the crowd and have the viewing audience. It's scary knowing that during Easter, that time, and look it up at the Catholic website, Easter is about a goddess Estar. It's not about the resurrection of Jesus. They made it that way so they could gain the paganism. So there was so much compromise from the beginning. But how many of the pastors will stand up that today? The answer is they won't, because they'll lose the money that comes in on Christmas and on Easter if they stood up against it. So they would rather believe the lie and be damned and face judgment of God than to direct the people back to Him. I was reading an article and listening to an article, and I haven't been able to totally verify it. But in the Mishnah, which is a part of the Jewish Orthodox text, there's a section in there about religious marriage and so forth. And in it, it says that it is okay for a man to have a relationship with a 3-year-old girl if he so desires. This is in one of their doctrines, their teachings. And I thought, no wonder God does not deal with them. No wonder God does not reveal with them. The rabbis, many of them are very much stooped in wicked behavior and even allowing the girls to have a relationship with 10-year-old boys. And we thought that this was God's chosen people. As I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, God's chosen people are you who chose Him over them. That's who God's chosen people are. He will bless those who honor Him and guide them through every step of the way. So when I received this information this week, and I know many of you go, well, how come she's always got something she's heard from God? Can you answer that, Julian? Why is it I can say that?
Because you're a prophet of God. That's why you hear from Him. Earlier you were talking about land ownership, and here's the biggest misconception about owning land or land ownership. Any government can claim this is our country or whatever. Or at a lower level, you could claim that this is your house, this is your land. Okay, you bought it. Okay, but understand one thing: you're just the current tenant. That's it. You're not the owner. Because look throughout history, when every empire was conquering different other empires. So that land, they took the land, they renamed it, resettled, whatever. So it becomes somebody else's land. And it just keeps going and going. The cycle keeps going. Average house, say you got to have your house built. How long does it last? It's going to last about 100 years, maybe. That's it. Out there, after that's going to collapse, it's going to fall over. They're going to come in, rebuild another house, and then it's going to be owned by somebody else. So you see, you never own that. That's not yours. You can't claim that you own that, because it's not going to be. It's only temporary. You're only the current tenant. That's it.
Right. That's very true. I can think about that on the fact that my grandparents were around when the Oklahoma land rush took place. They did not get their land from the Oklahoma land rush, but they had quite a bit of acreage. And so, in my grandfather's will, he said that it was to never leave the family. My great-grandpa had 2 sons and a daughter. And so they had the chance to buy the share from the other sibling. So it got passed down to the next group. And then came a couple of years ago, I received notice that the land had come back into our family to let me know that I had land that I had a percentage of by birthright. And I had to be, of course, my grandfather's granddaughter. And that land has been passed from hand to hand to hand to hand, and continuously pays taxes and can be used for any part. But when I leave this earth, that land is being passed to my son. Now, what my son decides to do with it is his decision, if he decides to pass it to somebody else. But it doesn't mean it ever totally belongs to us, especially in the United States. It doesn't totally ever belong to us. So we have all this rhetoric. What got to me this week, Julian, is really, really shocking. We read that there were fires in Jerusalem, massive fires, and the hillsides. And I'm in the middle, in the center part of Jerusalem, and I'm looking out to see, okay, where's the fires? From the news articles, we're engulfed, the entire city is engulfed in fires. There have been fires that were set. I'm not discrediting that. But the way the news portrayed it was not accurate. Now, let me give you another example. The news portrayed that President Trump violated the Vatican's request to wear dark suits to the Pope's funeral because he wore a blue suit. And the media focused in on that blue suit. That's all they could talk about. Well, another individual came along and showed the big picture that there were numerous blue suits that were being worn. It wasn't just President Trump, but he was one of the many leaders that was wearing that. Even Prince William was in a blue suit, but everybody focused on the fact that he was in a blue suit. He was out of protocol. You see, the news will skew to you what they want you to believe. I guess in many sense, had I not come to Jerusalem, I would follow along that same deception of being deceived about what is going on out here. Yes, there were 511 rockets that hit the state of Israel in this about 24-hour period of time. And we're on constant awareness of that. Again, I forgot how many went off today. The point is, we are here, but it's not being told where you're at. We're on the front line. We see what's going on. We see the attitude of the people. We see how it's impacting the world. But you will never see it. Just like it was focused on Trump's blue suit when he was not the only one. That was what they wanted you to see and believe. Just like they wanted you to think all of Jerusalem was aflame. Well, it's not. Yes, there were fires that were set on the mountainsides, and yes, there were different areas, but was it to the massive statewide emergency section? The answer is no, it hasn't been. Our biggest thing is the threat of missile fire at any given moment. We never know. They can average anywhere from a break from 8 to 11 hours, sometimes 24 hours. It's never a set process, although I'm charting it when they hit and the areas that they hit. I expect in the next couple of days, we're going to get a really major blast of rocket fire. Now, you don't know except what the media tells you. This is where the problem comes in. You've got to learn to be a skeptic and understand the power is in the edit. A reporter came out and said, AGT, America's Got Talent, that is set up completely about how the audience is set up, how the camera lens are going. And I know because we've played extras in the past on different movies and television programs where we were extras. And they wanted to make a arena look like it was full. So they rotated the extras all through the arena because they didn't have enough people to fill it. So they kept rotating us. It took hours the way they had it going. But from your quick glance, you'd think the entire stadium was full. The power is in the edit. You can manipulate anything you choose to manipulate it by electronics. But you cannot mimic the true power of God. That can never be duplicated. Many times after our classes are over, and I have not put the last few weeks up as a final, but you will still feel God's presence come through there. It will happen as a thumbprint continuously. And I know it's happened like that for over 30 years, and I am positive it will continue to do that as long as I serve him. The thing is, don't believe everything you hear. You're better off to come with that skeptical mind than to just fall for everything hook, line, and sinker. If you hear what I'm teaching you, then go research it. Go online. Ask the question. They've now got AIs. You can ask a question. They're going to pop up with the answer. Where did Abraham come from in the beginning? Was he always in the land of Israel? No, he was not. And just like I said, there's two scenarios that are told on Abraham. One was that Abraham was told to offer Ishmael. The other was that Abraham was told to offer Isaac. It depends on whether you talk to an Islamic person or a Jew. Two different stories. It does not matter what was. It matters what is now, and what is going forward. I can't prove or disprove anything, but I can prove that God is real. So when you hear things, don't believe everything you hear. Even question me. Look it up for yourself. Don't just take me at my word. I challenge you. Look it up. When you look at the part of sacrifice, having their children pass through the fire, tell me that rocket fire is not sacrifice. I've often wondered, how do they determine what their targets of interest are? What are they focusing on? I don't know an individual, Jewish, Palestinian, or otherwise, in this area that wants the war. So when they say that Jerusalem wants this or Palestine wants this, they're not talking for the populace. They're talking about what their government officials want, not what is real. Apparently, this war was started over some renegade children who were honoring hell, worshiping demons at the rave festival. And it has escalated into years now of combat. But guess what? We haven't kept it in that line, because with their AI and their technology, they could have found those people in less than 30 days. And now we're 2 years into a war. Not quite. It will not be until October. We're 2 years into a war when they could have found them. They have a source called Pegasus. Look it up. Pegasus is an information system that only Israel has and has sold to other countries, mostly the United States, that can pinpoint where everyone is located. They weren't about the hostages. It never was about the hostages. It was about financial profit and gain for the global elite. That's what all wars are about. Not about humanity and not about justice. You can't name one person, and I can't either, because I don't know any people from Gaza. But you can walk into Gaza and you can ask anyone, did you want this war? And they're living in devastation. The answer is no, they don't. But somebody got in control and manipulated, controlled, and destroyed the average life of families and people who lived in that region. So don't be so willing to accept everything that somebody tells you. Have an investigative mind. Find out for yourself. Question me. I don't have a problem. I do my research thoroughly. And I'm positive if you ask that question, you're going to come up with the answer. Even to the fact that the Roman Catholic Church honors Satan in many rites that it has. Like I said last week, for somebody to go and pray for hours for a deceased pope to make it into heaven really doesn't give me a lot of secure goosebumps over that, does it you? And rebaptizing a dead man, does that give any indication? Or sending incense up as prayers? We've got to get out of this ritualism, and we need to focus on God and who God is to us. And he is to you as important as you make him to be. He will not force himself on you. And you don't feel like you've got to pray 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just have communication with God. Talk to him. He cares about you. I find myself sometimes just crying my head off. But you know what? That just washes my soul, gives me clear sight, and I go on. I'm not crying because I'm depressed. I'm crying because I'm thankful for the mercies of God. Julian, what else would you like to add to this?
Something very important that you just said, because whether you're watching it live right now, this video live, or you watch it later on, let what she said resonate. She's telling you, don't believe me. Look it up for yourself. Okay, how many spiritual leaders will actually tell you that? How many times have you heard over the pulpit, you're not supposed to question the ministry? You're from the devil. If you would start questioning, why would they tell you that? When I first came to God, if you've been following the channel, I had a lot of questions. And I wouldn't stop asking questions until it was settled in my mind who I was following and who God was. I wouldn't stop questioning until it was settled in my mind. If she would have told me, you know what, you just have to believe it, I would have been like, see you. I'm gone. See what I'm saying? Because we have questions and we need answers. So let that resonate in your mind, what she just said. Don't believe me. Just look it up for yourself. How many times have you been told the opposite if you have gone to any church? Think about it.
To me, if you look it up for yourself, you definitely know what it says. We want to look forward to the days ahead of us. And I'm very excited within the next few days to really see what God is going to do. He is faithful. He's going to always be faithful. And I thank you who come online, and I'm sorry that there was a few of you, for some reason, the notification didn't go off for your phones. Just always go back and reselect that. And again, as I said, there's times I teach a class before this class, and sometimes I think we started about 9:30, and we didn't end until about 10:30 or something like that. So there will be that delay. So if you have it as a notification and bell go off, then you'll know when we went live for the rest of the world. As I said, there are certain things that I teach before I come out to teach the world. It's not any different, but it's more focusing on our structure and how we need to organize certain things for the future. I will not ever make an excuse for what God speaks to me. To me, he is the only one who I will never question. And his actions are always perpetually the same. With love, kindness, mercy, long-suffering. He's been very long-suffering with me. Think about those attributes. He's been patient with us, been kind to us, and let's try to emulate his character. Yes, there's times you've got to be very much stand your ground. You don't have any choice in this world. But don't feel guilty for standing your ground. Don't allow that to make you feel bad. If you stand for what is right, then you keep standing for what is right. And yes, absolutely, Kathy, question everything. Everything. Never, ever just accept it. There's been too much of that. If the ministry had been held accountable for what they taught, they wouldn't be so far into another world of demonic possession and control. God doesn't promise me riches, wealth, and fame. He promises me he'll be there for me. That's worth more. That he will be there for me as long as I'm there for him. Pretty good contractual agreement, don't you think? No, I'm not wealthy. No, I'm not famous. No, I'm not worried about going viral and the likes and so forth. I just want to please God. That should be your focus. How can you be the best you as an example to the world? You've heard me say that before. Keep that in the forefront of your mind. If you get an attitude, go into your room and have a conversation with God about why you've got a sorry attitude. But don't throw your poison out for the world. Let's honor and serve God in everything that we do. So watch your words, watch your actions, and question everything. Stacy, Julian, I'm done. Anything you want to do, close out, is your turn.
Well, I don't personally have anything else to say, but subscribe, click the notification bell, thumbs up. We thank you for tuning in. We did start late, so we thank you for tuning in, and those that you only missed like 20 minutes, as I stated, but thank you for tuning in. And it was a very, very, very powerful class, and we learn a lot. So I am gonna say Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you next time.